215 bodies found in an unmarked grave behind a Mississippi jail. Families in Mississippi are upset after learning their loved ones was buried behind a jail and they didn't even know their loved ones was dead.
Considered the greatest spitting. I tell them I'm Christ like they envision modern Christian. Tell them I'm nothing like check conditions of how I'm living. I preach Christ, we ain't fake delivering. Listen, it's not about how much Bible chapter and verse you know. It's about how much Bible you willing to obey.
An alarming situation has unfolded in Jackson, Mississippi, where 215 bodies were discovered buried in unmarked graves behind a state jail. Families of the deceased were left in the dark until months later, they found out that their loved ones was dead, because they thought their loved ones was missing.
It's been revealed 215 bodies were buried in unmarked graves behind a state jail in Jackson, of course. Attorney Ben Crump is now calling for an investigation. Families of the dead reportedly had no idea until last month. Some of them, those grave sites were only labeled by a number and a metal rod.
The grave where the bodies is buried at, they only identified by a number with a metal rod sticking out. It's crazy, man. Y'all gotta see that, man. It's crazy. The revelation begins with the Dexter Wade's death in March of 2023, in which a police officer fatally struck Wade with his police cruiser. Now, we don't know where Wade was going. We don't know why he was struck. Nobody know the details. Just the cop and, unfortunately Wade, they said dead man tells no tales. The cop and his department covered the whole situation up. And shockingly, Wade's family was not informed of his death, and where he was buried at. They didn't have no knowledge of where he was at. His mom was posting flyers and all that stuff. They found out that, that he was buried behind that jail.
We recently told you about Dexter Wade, a man in Mississippi who was hit and killed by a Jackson Police Department vehicle and buried without his family's knowledge. Wade's mother told me about when police finally contacted her about her son months later.
Well, when they first called me and said, we found Dexter, I said, oh Lord, let him be okay. So I said, where he at or what's, going on with him? She said, well, I'll let Officer Gerard come out there and talk to you. And right then, when she said that, it's just, my heart dropped, because I knew, I just knew that he was deceased.
Now, if Wade's mom didn't post up flyers and she wasn't actively looking for her son, going to the police station, calling the police station and all that, those other 214 bodies probably wouldn't have gotten discovered. The crazy thing is, y'all, this is the crazy thing, right? The cops was helping her look for her son. That's crazy. The cops was helping Wade's mom look for her son. All along, they knew Wade was buried in the back of that jail. That's sick. That is sick. That is beyond sick. Now, Wade's case took a disturbing turn when it was revealed that he had identification on him, right? His identification was given to the lead detective by the medical examiner. The medical examiner said, hey man, I gave the cops everything they need. However, the detective claimed that he tried to call Wade's family and nobody answered the phone, so he took no further action.
The thing about it is that he had identification on him, Isaiah, and the medical examiner gave it to the lead detective, who said he called, didn't get an answer, and they didn't worry about doing anything else.
I thought the next move was to go to the family's crib and notify them. Isn't that what they supposed to do? Now, folk in Mississippi is saying that this situation is deeper than anyone else can imagine. This is deep on many levels. That's what folk in Mississippi, in Jackson, Mississippi is saying. They saying this, this is a cover up on a whole nother scale. Now, I know some people is going to try to make this a racial thing, and I've seen some people try to make it racial while I looked up this story, but it's not racial, mainly because they found quite a few white folk buried in some of those unmarked graves too. So at the end of the day, this is a complete misuse of justice, and it's unfortunate. I don't think there's going to be any true accountability or justice for any of those, dead bodies. And now I'm gonna tell you why. They're gonna pay off the families, and they're going to sweep this under the rug. Y'all already know. They're going to sweep this under the rug. And here's the reason why I believe they're going to sweep it under the rug. Y'all better believe that this situation runs deep, like I just said. It runs deep. A lot of high officials in Mississippi, the mayor, the governor, the cops, all that stuff, they all into this. They knew what was going on in there. Them folk in Mississippi knew the type of activity that was going on in there, and they got to cover it up the best way they could, and and you could tell they trying to keep it covered up the best way they could. Now, the reason why I say they trying to keep it covered the best way they could is because none of the major networks is talking about it. NBC, Fox News, CNN, heck, BET ain't even talking about it. You would think that discovering 215 bodies and unmarked graves behind a state jail would be breaking news, would be all over the place. People, you would think that people would be like, yo, what's going on over there in Mississippi? You know what I mean? But here's the thing. Think about this. If y'all don't believe this situation didn't run deep politically or the cops and all that stuff, then how that cop knew where to go bury Wade's body? Think about that. I'm not saying that he did this before. I'm not saying he did. I'm not saying that he didn't. He might, he might know that some of his other officer friends could have did this before. We don't know. But he knew where to bury the body at. He knew that. Now, a lot more families is now coming forward. Folk who thought their loved ones was missing is now discovering that their loved ones was one of those folk buried in those unmarked graves. It's sad. It's problematic. I don't think no justice is going to prevail in this, because we know this is America. This is what they're going to cover that up. Ain't nobody going to get held accountable. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, those people, we may not never know what happened to those people, why they died, and why these people took the liberty to just throw them in the back of a jail. How long they been doing this? How many other jails got unmarked graves? You see what I'm saying? This situation is deeper than we know, because these people felt too comfortable doing that. That's what I'm saying. They felt too comfortable doing that. So, man, but anyway, I hope that the family get justice. They got Ben Crump on the scene. So, Ben Crump, he gonna get them paid, but unfortunately, I don't think they're going to get justice. They not going to ever know what happened to, they did say that Wade did get struck by the police officer. Let's see if he's going to get held accountable. Why aren't nobody talking about bringing him to justice and getting him prosecuted properly? Nobody's talking about that. But man, I'm gonna watch this case as it develops, and I'm gonna keep y'all posted. Y'all already know this is your boy Reese Johnson. This is the Gutta And Saved podcast. Hey man, do something for the podcast today and go check out our merch store. Go to gasmerch.com. You can get this vintage Saint sweatshirt. Heavenly Minded. We got it in hoodies. We got it in t-shirts. We got it in all different colors, man. Support the podcast, and I'll holla at y'all on the flip. Peace.
Gutta and Saved, check. Spiritually, I'm Christ-like. Lyrically, feel like money made on fight night. Me and Meek out slaying through from fright night. Like my dad, I need stone pads when I write. Yeah. It's not about how much Bible chapter and verse you know. It's about how much Bible you willing to obey.